Hi, everybody. It's Hank Linderman. It's Getting Angry here on July 28th, 2020. We're going to be talking about the dueling militias that were in Louisville this weekend, and we're going to talk about a plastics warning. This, of course, is Getting Angry, and I'm your host, moderator, and I'm your candidate for Congress in Kentucky's 2nd District. That's Davis, Hardin, Warren, Bullitt, Nelson, Barron, Boyle, Meade, Mercer, Breckenridge, Grayson, Hart, Hancock, LaRue, Washington, Garrett, Jessamine, Greene, Edmondson, Butler, Spencer counties. I've been to every single one of them. And so much to talk with you all about today. I'm really glad that you're here. And of course, I look forward to your comments. So let me know what's going on in your world. We got a bunch of things to talk about. Let's maybe first look at, and by the way, we're introducing some new sounds today. So yesterday, Cindy is here, Cindy Braun is here. Cindy, we're going to ask you to share and use the hopeful harp sound. Yes, please help us share this Facebook Live. Just click share and make it happen. That really helps us, and we'll reward you with that sound. Really makes a difference. And our numbers are going up, by the way. We had something like 1,500 people had seen yesterday's, so that's really, really great. And by the way, Dr. Greg Adams, you're invited back every week, but you and I need to talk. We'll work out a way to do it. I'm also tempted to just have you call in anytime I make a mistake with something related to science or medicine. So just my thought. Well, let's get going on this. I'm going to start with, of course, some numbers. And as we do every week, or every day, we talk about the numbers of new cases. And here we are in the United States. We still have 61,571. That's actually up slightly from yesterday. Barbara Ticci is here. Barbara, I'm glad you're here. Please share. Please share the broadcast with us. We appreciate it. With your friends. Anyway, we are still seeing, some minor fluctuation in the numbers, but some of that's due to the weekends being a little bit fuzzy. So we kind of expect that by Tuesday the numbers tend to come right back up. Let's look at. This is California, New York, Florida, and so on. And you can see that Florida remains in first place. California still has the most amount of cases. Excuse me. And let's see, look at this. Oh, well, we'll come back to that. So our numbers are still not great. And Governor Beshear yesterday announced that we're going to be doing increased, he's going to close the bars again, and we're going to have to do this. We talk all the time about having to go Godzilla on the virus. We need to go Godzilla on this thing because there's really no other way around it. We're going to have to all stay home. The other nations that have succeeded at this have shown us that it can be done, and they include Germany, they include New Zealand, they include Australia, Singapore, Canada, so on and so on. There's no reason why we can't do it. So that's going to be what we have to do. Now, I want to talk to you briefly about plastics. And we've talked about plastics before, and in fact, I'm going to show you the nope button again, which means no, I'm wearing mine, means no plastics in my environment. So this is a story that is so detailed, and the charts were so big and scary, I couldn't fit them. There was so much detail, I couldn't really distill this down. I could almost do an entire, 20 minutes just on this story. But this is a disaster that we are facing. And look at this. If we don't do immediate action, we're going to see triple the amount of plastics in our ocean by the year 2040, which is not that far away. And this is why I'm always on about the plastic, and I try my best not to use them. It's very, very difficult to to avoid using plastics. And if you are diligent about recycling, you're probably very aware that you've collected all this junk that needs to be recycled. And Hildegard's here, and she shared. So thank you, Hildegard. So appreciate it. Let's look at the Nope pin. This is one of the ways that I'm trying to do something about this. I wear this Nope button, and it means no plastics in my environment. It's and Cindy says, yes, it's in our lakes and streams, and she's absolutely correct. You know, when we go between our lakes and streams, that's actually where a lot of it ends up, which then winds up in rivers. And something like 80% of the plastic that winds up in the ocean comes from rivers. So it starts when you, and I see this, by the way, on the lake all the time. I see people just throw cans and plastic bottles. They just throw things off of their boat. We were out this weekend, and we go over to a cove, and we keep our distance. We park our boats away from each other, and we swim a little bit. Chrissy Kinser is here. Hi, Chrissy. Larry Fulkerson is here. Chrissy is a strong Democrat here in Breckinridge County, our neighbor just outside of Grayson. And Chrissy, we're asking you to share this, so I'm going to play the angel's harp. There you go. So if you'll share that helps us a tremendous amount. Larry, you too. Need you to share. Anyway, when we go to this cove that's right across the way, it's not very far, this weekend, what we saw were piles of just discarded plastic bottles, and we can't do that. We're not going to be able to take care of our environment doing that, and we're going to be a bit more aggressive. Darren Dow, please share the Facebook Live. It really helps us to get our message out there. Back to the Nope pin. The idea of this is if you wear it when you go into a coffee shop, if they see that and they're aware of it, they'll know not to give you a plastic lid. They'll know not to give you a plastic cup. They'll know you want paper or ceramic. And you know, if you go into, Karen Osborne's here. Hi, Karen. Thank you for sharing. You know, when you go into a Starbucks, or a Heine Brothers, or wherever you're going for coffee, or the ones that I know in, in Bowling Green is, gosh, I can see them. Spencer's in Bowling Green. Mary says, just done. You're just finished work. Mary, I'm glad you're here. Please share after the broadcast. Mary's got difficulty sharing during it. You'll get your angel wings. Anyway, if you are a coffee fanatic and you're going into a coffee shop and buying coffee every day, keep those lids. Keep a couple of those around. Then when you walk in, you can just pop it on your new cup of coffee. Little things like that will make a difference. When you go to the grocery store, instead of buying the jug of milk, buy the cartons of milk. You'll spend a little bit more money, but that's another piece of plastic that won't wind up in the ocean. So that's why we are talking about all that much. So I guess the story today I want to talk to you about, the big one, is about we had opposing armed militias converge in Kentucky in the city of Louisville. And fortunately, there was no specific violence. They didn't shoot at each other, but one of the folks in the NFAC, the black militia, dropped his weapon and it went off and injured him and a couple of other people, but nobody was seriously hurt. Now, there were two militias there. The other one is the one we're very familiar with, the 3%er types. And so look at this. This is from last year when we had, in Kentucky, we had armed militia guys, and look, they're wearing masks and they've got ARs and all this kind of stuff, and they were able to get inside the Capitol during a session, which was pretty alarming to the representatives. Jim Porter says, I saved my Starbucks and the hub, of course, in Danville. I saved the cups. I haven't bought paper cups in the house for over a year. Fantastic. And Jim, please share the Facebook Live so the angels can get to fly. You all do remember this, I'm sure. Kentuckians remember this when we had armed folks right in the legislative chambers, and this was terrible. Now, by comparison, 2 years ago, we had the Poor People's Campaign show up, and this is how they were met at the entrance to getting into the chambers, to getting into the Capitol building. They were denied access. Now, I suppose because there were 100 of them, but they were not armed. But look, the state police stopped them, and they were accompanied by Reverend Barber, who is the leader of the Poor People's Campaign. If you don't know about the Poor People's Campaign, it's worth taking a look at it. Now, I want you to also look, we've got a couple of other issues here with the, take it back. We have another issue with the folks who were in Louisville on Sunday. Or this weekend. I'm going to play a little bit of this video because I had neighbors complain to me about the language that was used. Let's see what this sounds like. Let's see what they say. Oops, sorry, folks. It starts at about 6 minutes, and this, by the way, is on YouTube. So any of you can watch this.
You need to understand that
there we go.
Perception is our reality. So whatever y'all show us, that's what we believe. So if you don't tell us nothing, we gonna think you ain't doing nothing. But if you is doing something, tell us what the fuck it is. And if it's some shit that we can handle, we might step back and give you a chance to do what the fuck you said you was gonna do. But if you don't, we'll burn this bitch to the ground.
Okay, obviously a problem with the language. Now, given the benefit of the doubt, maybe he's speaking rhetorically, but saying you're going to burn this place to the ground, he used a different word. And sorry if you were offended by the language, it's what it is. That's what they were saying. If you're going to object to that language, you have to also object to that language being used by others of different races when white militia groups threaten. We had a militia group here in Kentucky, of course, hang the governor in effigy outside of the governor's mansion, within sight of the governor's mansion. And that sort of implied threat. Why are you bringing weapons into the Capitol anyway? So I think all of this language is not good. Look at this, potential spam. They're not getting in. All of this language is a problem. If we've got white militia folks threatening, that's a problem. And if we've got black militia folks threatening to actually burn the city, I think that's a problem as well. That's not, that's inappropriate. So I'm going to hope that what they meant was rhetorically, rhetoric gets out of hand, but let's not have that threatening. Now, some of this is because we are in a period of time when we are so divided that there are at least two narratives to any circumstance. And sometimes the narratives are blown out of proportion. And I don't have a handy one for folks who are on the liberal side of things. I did watch John Oliver this weekend, and he mentioned that Sean Hannity was complaining about what was going on in Portland, and that Portland's being taken over. It's the end of America as we know it, and there's violence, violence, violence. Well, the 8 items that they mentioned, the violence was graffitied, a building graffitied or a statue graffitied. So I get it that that's technically violence, but America is not going to fall over because some statues get knocked over or graffitied, or because a building gets graffitied. And using this kind of language is completely irresponsible. So I do think we need to watch our language. Let's see. I have another. We are upholding the rule of law. Let's see. Well, I don't have the headline for you, but there's a story that is out that Louisville is on track to have their highest amount of gun violence since 2016, which was their absolute top, and they may actually do more than that. It may be worse. So I want to read a little bit from this story. we're having a record-setting year for gun homicides in the city, according to the Courier-Journal. And this is related to the city of Louisville. Louisville, by the way, is in the 3rd district. It's not in my district, but what goes on in Louisville affects the entire state. There's so much going on that these kids don't have a chance, says Kia Barnes, whose 17-year-old son, Chris Ward, was shot and killed in April. Even as Louisville wrestles with the coronavirus pandemic and mass protests that have threatened to grind the city to a halt since March, a wave of gun violence is coating the community in bloodshed and flooding hospital emergency rooms. Since March, we've had one person fatally shot in Louisville every week. On Sunday alone, 10 people were shot in Louisville, 2 of them fatally. Monday saw 5 more shootings with 6 people wounded but alive, but including a pregnant woman and 2 14-year-old boys. I mean, it's getting completely out of hand. The vice chairman of surgery at the University of Louisville Hospital, Dr. David Richardson, who treats many of these gunshot victims, says he's never seen anything like this in his 40 years of experience. Triaging the unrelenting stream of gunshot victims coming into U of L Hospital over the past few months has been more overwhelming for the staff than even the treatment of the COVID-19 patients. So that's how serious this is getting. Louisville could surpass 2016, which is really not good. Bill Yates is here. Bill, please share this. Help the angels fly. So this goes on. I'll go a little bit further. Initially, there was a decrease in gun violence during the pandemic restrictions, but that trend has changed. It's not stopped people. And these are neighborhoods that are frustrated by anxiety, fear, fatigue, short tempers, and a lack of opportunity, and they're taking out their anger with guns. Todd Moore, the founder and executive director of New Day Ministries, says, people are to a point now where they think, if you don't listen to me one way, you'll listen to me another way. So this is really bad. This has been going on for years, Todd says, but the spotlight's been put on it now. I also want to point out this is not unique to Louisville. And the violence that we are seeing when there is violence, when there's gun-involved violence, that's a severe problem for our society. Now, I'm sorry to tell you this, but a neighbor said to me, have you been, one of my neighbors here in Falls of Rough said, have you been to a gun shop recently? And I said, I hadn't. They said, they're about sold out of everything, and you can hardly buy ammo anymore. And another person from across the district said, my neighbor was target shooting, and he asked him why, and he said, because he thinks things are going to get bad. So I want to say this to people. Let's calm down here. There's going to be nothing solved by killing someone. And we do have a problem with guns in this country, and we have a problem with gun violence. It's all related. And I'm not going to sit here and propose a solution that's not likely to be picked up, because we have a group that will not accept any kind of constraint on guns, and that, of course, is the NRA. Now, the Second Amendment says something about well-regulated militias. Now, that's been ignored by the Supreme Court, and I don't believe either of the militias we were looking at, the 3%er types or the NFAC, I'm not sure that either of them are a well-regulated militia. And that seems to me that we should be, as a society, looking to deal with this. This is a problem of violence. It's a problem, it's a public health issue. And we're going to have to learn to deal with it some way or another. And it's going to take some compromise. It's going to take people that are willing to work together with a common goal, that we want to cut down on the 30,000 people that are killed each year by firearms. By the way, 2/3 of them are accident and suicide. We don't even really study it the way we should. So we need to begin by studying gun violence in the United States. Yes, well, after such a heavy subject, I thought I would look for something a little bit lighter. Oh, by the way, while I'm still on the gun subject, I have to go back to the opposing militias picture. So here they are, and I've got this is also from the Courier-Journal, as you can see. Tara Brandow, a leader of the Kentucky Three Percenters group, denied that the NFAC's role as a black militia played into their decision to come to Louisville or that they were white nationalists. Brandow said they came to assist the police. Tara, the police don't need your assistance, and in fact, you're going to cause problems, just my opinion. They came to assist the police and discourage violence. Some came from other states, including Indiana and Tennessee. Bad idea, all of this, bad idea. Nick Alsagar, I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing your name correctly, Nick, I apologize if I haven't, who held an assault rifle with others from the Three Percenters, said NFAC had a constitutional right to make their voices heard, but he didn't approve of them coming to Louisville. He said the city had already been buffeted by protests and hoped they would end as the investigation is finished. You got no business being here. It ain't your state, he said of the group. Bear in mind that the leader of your group said we've got people from multiple states. So no good is going to come of this, okay? No good is going to come of heavily armed militias being on our streets and playing chicken with each other, trying to out-tough each other. That's not going to be a solution. All right, as I say, I try always to find something uplifting or entertaining or something to end this discussion, this get-together. And by the way, thank you all for being here. Mary Richardson says Camden, New Jersey is a bit scarier. Yes, it is. Especially in the time of the pandemic, travel to Louisville and back home again could become a spreading event. Yes, it could. Well, let's end on a lighter note. Of course, today you've heard that Attorney General William Barr is under testimony. He's testifying to Congress today. I haven't had the bandwidth yet to listen to it, but I've been getting some reports. But I found a story about it that I thought I would share with you all. And here's the headline. Oh, whoops. There's the headline. Washington, assuring lawmakers that his department was operating strictly according to the book, Attorney General Bill Barr told Congress during testimony Tuesday that he was only intending to uphold the rule of law while federal agents dragged a screaming Jerry Nadler outside into an unmarked van. This is standard agency practice that's been in place in administrations long before this one to quiet unrest like what we're seeing in the Capitol building today, said Barr, after unidentified agents burst into the House chamber, covered the California representative's face with a black bag, zip-tied his hands, and led him to a white federal vehicle awaiting, along with Representatives Hakeem Jeffries and Pramila Jayapal. Quote, when you have hundreds of Congress members demonstrating inside the building daily, we need to do something to restore order. Frankly, the resistance like some of these legislators showed in being dragged from the testimony suggests that they do not have peaceful intentions, end quote. At press time, Mitch McConnell had requested Barr provide immediate testimony to explain why he had not yet also sent in troops to restore order in the unruly Senate chambers. Well, there you go. I hope you enjoyed that. I sure did. I want to remind you, we need to go Godzilla on this virus, so we'll fade out on that. And I'm going to see you tomorrow. And I want to mention to Facebook, I do have permission to use this music that you're hearing because I own it. So anyway, thank you all for being here. Remember, when you're angry, when you're getting angry, like we all are, the idea is to maintain your cool, use it cool, use it to strengthen your resolve to do what you got to do. All right, see you tomorrow. You know I love you.